Shocking truth is that brain inflammation can silently hijack your mind without you even realizing it, slowly stealing your clarity, your focus, your energy, and even your personality. And most people walk around every single day believing they are just tired or stressed, when in reality, their brain is begging for help. Imagine waking up one morning and feeling like someone has switched off the light inside your head, leaving you trapped inside a fog you cannot explain, searching for the right words, trying to remember what you were doing just seconds ago, fighting the urge to close your eyes because your brain feels heavy, slow, and overloaded. This is not normal aging, and it is not just a lack of sleep or too much screen time. This is inflammation, a smoldering fire inside the brain that scientists now say is one of the biggest causes of memory failure, mental fatigue, mood swings, and that frustrating cloudiness we call brain fog. What makes this even more shocking is that recent research shows this brain inflammation often starts years before symptoms become obvious, meaning the very first signs are subtle changes that people brush off without realizing that their brain is slowly being damaged. These early signs can include moments when you forget simple things like where you placed your keys, why you walked into a room, or what you were about to say. And because everyone experiences these moments occasionally, people assume it is normal. But when it becomes frequent, it is your brain raising a red flag. What makes this worse is that most people blame themselves for being distracted, lazy, or undisciplined, not knowing that their brain chemistry is being disrupted by inflammation that can come from hidden sources like poor sleep, stress, chemicals in processed foods, environmental toxins, lack of omega-3 fats, or even chronic dehydration. The brain is extremely sensitive, and even a small amount of inflammation can interfere with the way neurons communicate, slowing down the electrical signals responsible for memory, learning, and mental sharpness. That is why someone can feel like they are functioning at 50% even though they are trying their best. You may have experienced days when your thoughts feel sticky and slow, when you struggle to stay focused on a simple task, when you read something and realize you remember almost none of it, or when you walk around with a heavy feeling in your head, as if something is weighing your mind down. This is not just mental exhaustion. It is a biological response. And the craziest part is that scientists now say brain inflammation can build up for months or even years without causing pain, which is why people rarely realize something serious is happening. But here is the truly surprising part, the part most people never hear from their doctor. The brain can begin reversing inflammation in a matter of days once you give it the right support. New research from neurologists and cognitive health experts shows that certain natural compounds, essential nutrients, and strategic habits can begin clearing inflammation surprisingly fast, restoring sharper thinking and better mental energy much quicker than most people expect. There are stories of people who spent years feeling foggy and unfocused but experienced noticeable mental clarity within just a few days of targeting their brain inflammation properly. And the reason this works is because the brain is incredibly adaptive. It wants to heal, it wants to regenerate, and it wants to return to a state of clarity, but it needs the right tools. When the brain receives anti-inflammatory support, microglial cells, which are your brain's cleanup crew, begin sweeping away inflammatory molecules and repairing the communication between neurons, allowing signals to fire faster and more efficiently. This is why people often describe the experience as if a heavy curtain has finally been lifted from their mind. Another shocking discovery is that many everyday habits unknowingly fuel this inflammation. For example, not getting enough deep sleep prevents your brain from cleaning out waste proteins linked to cognitive decline. Eating foods high in sugar or processed fats can trigger an inflammatory response that directly affects the brain. Chronic stress keeps the body in a state of chemical imbalance, which can inflame neural tissues. Even sitting for too many hours can reduce blood flow to the brain, starving it of oxygen and nutrients. But the moment you begin interrupting these patterns and introducing brain-friendly habits, the brain responds fast. People who support their brain health consistently often report that they think faster, remember more clearly, react quicker, learn new things more easily, and feel mentally lighter, as if the fog is evaporating from their mind. This is why understanding brain inflammation is not just important, it is urgent. Every day you allow inflammation to continue. Even at a low level, your brain loses a little more of its natural sharpness. But the good news is that you can take back control earlier than you think. You do not need complicated medical treatments. You do not need expensive therapies, and you do not need to accept brain fog as a normal part of life, because once you understand what triggers brain inflammation and what stops it, you can begin reclaiming your clarity faster than you ever imagined. And this video will show you exactly how people around the world are clearing brain fog, boosting focus, and restoring their mental energy simply by supporting their brain's natural anti-inflammatory pathways. All it takes is understanding what is happening inside your brain and knowing what steps actually work. And once you apply them, your mind can feel sharper in days, not months, opening the door to a brighter and more focused version of yourself. Most people are shocked when they learn that brain inflammation does not begin inside the brain itself, but is often triggered by signals coming from other parts of the body, especially the gut, the immune system, and even tiny lifestyle patterns that seem harmless but quietly disrupt the brain's chemistry. The brain and body are deeply connected, and when inflammation begins somewhere else, it can travel and reach the brain in the form of inflammatory molecules that interfere with neural communication. This is why someone can feel mentally slow even though they are physically healthy, or why a person who eats poorly or sleeps poorly might notice mental symptoms before anything else. The brain feels the effects of inflammation quicker than most organs because it relies on delicate chemical balance to operate at high speed. And when even one area becomes inflamed, the entire thinking process slows down. One of the biggest triggers is the gut, where billions of microscopic organisms live. And when that ecosystem becomes unbalanced from processed foods, antibiotics, stress, or irregular eating, it sends distress signals to the brain through the vagus nerve, creating inflammation that can cause mental fatigue, poor concentration, and a foggy feeling that refuses to go away. This gut-brain connection is so powerful that scientists now say up to 70% of brain inflammation may actually start inside the digestive system, not the head. What makes this incredibly concerning is that people commonly experience digestive issues and ignore them, never realizing that symptoms like bloating, irregular bowel movements, heartburn, or discomfort after meals can directly affect memory and focus. When the gut becomes leaky, microscopic particles escape into the bloodstream, and the immune system reacts by sending out inflammatory chemicals. These same chemicals then travel into the brain and activate microglial cells, which are supposed to protect the brain but become overactive when inflammation is constant, creating a chain reaction that slows neural firing. This is why people often say they cannot think clearly after large meals, sugary foods, fried snacks, or chemical-filled convenience foods. Their brain is not malfunctioning, it is inflamed. And when the inflammation continues day after day, the brain falls into a cycle of reduced clarity, low motivation, poor concentration, and inconsistent memory. The person may try drinking coffee or energy drinks to force more focus, but stimulants only push the brain harder without addressing the real issue, which makes the fog return even stronger when the stimulation wears off. Another major contributor to brain inflammation is chronic stress, which millions of people silently battle every day. When you experience stress, even mild stress, your body releases cortisol and adrenaline. And while these hormones are helpful in emergencies, they become harmful when they remain elevated for long periods. Chronic stress keeps the nervous system on constant alert, which disrupts sleep, affects digestion, alters hormone balance, and increases inflammation throughout the body. Over time, this inflammation crosses into the brain, causing IR, irritability, mental sluggishness, difficulty paying attention, memory lapses, and a lack of mental endurance. It becomes harder to concentrate on tasks, harder to learn new information, and harder to maintain emotional balance because the brain is constantly fighting inflammation in the background. People often notice they are more forgetful, more distracted, and more mentally tired on stressful days, and this is not coincidence, it is biology. The brain works significantly slower when inflamed, and stress is fuel for that inflammation. Sleep, or the lack of sleep, is another hidden factor people underestimate. During deep sleep, the brain uses something called the glymphatic system, a natural cleaning process that removes toxins, metabolic waste, and inflammatory molecules. If you do not get enough deep sleep, these waste particles remain inside the brain, causing fogginess the next day. And when this happens repeatedly, inflammation builds up more and more. Many people think they sleep enough because they spend hours in bed, but the real issue is the quality of sleep, not just the quantity. If stress, blue light exposure, late night eating, or irregular sleep schedules reduce deep sleep, the brain does not get the restoration it needs. The result is a heavy, foggy, unfocused mind that feels tired from the moment you wake up. This is why someone can sleep 8 hours and still wake up feeling mentally exhausted. Their brain did not get the opportunity to clean itself. But perhaps the most surprising cause of brain inflammation is poor circulation, something few people ever think about. The brain needs a constant supply of oxygen and nutrients, and when a person sits too long, moves too little, or develops weak circulation from inactivity, the brain becomes undernourished. Even mild reductions in blood flow can slow down neuronal firing and cause brain fog. On the OT, her hand, gentle movement, walking, stretching, and deep breathing increase circulation, bringing fresh oxygen and nutrients that reduce inflammation and restore mental sharpness. This explains why people often feel clearer after a walk or after stepping outside for fresh air. Their brain is receiving what it needs. All of these triggers point to one simple truth. Brain inflammation is not random or mysterious. It is the direct result of habits, environments, foods, and stressors that most people encounter daily without recognizing the impact. And the most encouraging part is that once you understand the root causes, you realize you are not stuck with brain fog. You are not doomed to feel slow, tired, or mentally dull. You can begin reversing inflammation by changing the signals your brain receives. When you support your gut, reduce stress, improve sleep, nourish your brain, and move your body, the inflammation begins to fade. The brain responds quickly because it is designed to heal, and when the inflammation decreases, clarity returns, focus strengthens, energy rises, and the fog lifts in ways that can be felt within days. This is the turning point where people begin to experience their true mental potential again, where life starts to feel easier, lighter, and more mentally vibrant, simply because the brain is finally free from the inflammation that was holding it back. When people finally discover that brain inflammation can be reversed naturally, the first question they ask is how they can begin repairing their brain from the inside out. And the truth is that the most powerful solutions are often the simplest ones, rooted in nutrients and habits that restore balance to the body and calm the inflammation that has been clouding the mind. One of the most astonishing breakthroughs in recent brain research is the discovery that certain natural compounds can begin reduce brain inflammation far quicker than previously believed, allowing mental clarity to return with surprising speed. One of the most effective is omega-3 fatty acids, especially DHA, which is literally the primary building block of the brain. When the brain becomes inflamed, neurons struggle to communicate smoothly, but DHA makes those communication channels flexible and fast again. People who increase their omega-3 intake often notice that their thoughts begin flowing more easily, their memory feels sharper, and the fog that once felt permanent begins to fade. This happens because omega-3s fight inflammatory molecules inside the brain and support the structure of nerve cells, allowing signals to travel rapidly. The change is subtle at first, then becomes clearer day by day, like someone slowly adjusting the focus on a camera lens. Another powerful compound that has gained worldwide attention is curcumin, the active ingredient in turmeric. Scientists are now calling it one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatory agents for the brain because it crosses the blood-brain barrier and directly calms microglial cells when they become overactive. These are the very cells that cause brain fog when inflammation is high. Curcumin helps quiet them, restoring balance inside the brain. Many people describe a noticeable lift in mood and mental sharpness after adding curcumin to their daily routine. And this is not coincidence. Curcumin supports circulation, oxygen flow, and antioxidant protection, all of which the brain needs to stay clear and focused. When combined with black pepper, the body absorbs it far more effectively, making it one of the most accessible ways to support brain health. But nutrients alone are only part of the solution. The next major step in clearing brain inflammation is restoring the gut, because when the gut is inflamed, the brain cannot function at its best no matter how many supplements you take. The gut acts like a second brain, sending signals that influence mood, memory, and concentration. And when harmful bacteria outnumber beneficial bacteria, the results can be disastrous for mental clarity. People often report that when they begin supporting their gut with probiotics, fiber-rich foods, and fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, or kimchi, their brain fog begins to lighten. This happens because good bacteria reduce inflammation in the gut, prevent harmful particles from leaking into the bloodstream, and help regulate neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. A healthy gut produces the chemicals that keep your mind clear, calm, and stable. One of the most underrated but incredibly effective steps is stabilizing blood sugar. Most people do not realize that rapid spikes and crashes in blood sugar can inflame the brain in the same way that junk food inflames the gut. When blood sugar fluctuates too quickly, the body releases stress hormones, and these hormones increase inflammation. This is why sugary breakfasts, processed snacks, energy drinks, and large high-carb meals can leave people feeling mentally foggy and tired. Stabilizing blood sugar through balanced meals, protein intake, and smarter food choices creates a calm internal environment where the brain can operate smoothly without sudden chemical disruptions. People who make this change often say they feel mentally steady for the first time in years. Movement is another key factor, and it works much faster than most people realize. You do not need intense workouts to clear brain inflammation. Even simple walking increases oxygen and nutrient delivery to the brain, which helps remove inflammatory waste. When your heart beats slightly faster and your breathing deepens, the brain becomes energized and alert. Daily movement also releases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein that encourages the brain to grow new connections, restore damaged pathways, and function more efficiently. This is why people often say their best ideas come during a walk, during light exercise, or after stretching. Movement activates parts of the brain that remain quiet when we sit still for long periods, helping clear the mental heaviness caused by inflammation. Another transformative yet often overlooked tool is hydration. Dehydration affects brain thickness, electrical signaling, and chemical balance. When the brain does not receive enough water, inflammatory molecules build up faster and cognitive performance can drop dramatically. Rehydrating the brain by drinking enough water throughout the day increases fluid flow around neurons, helps flush out waste, and enhances mental alertness. Something as simple as consistent hydration can dramatically reduce fogginess that someone had mistakenly blamed on fatigue or stress. But perhaps the most powerful and immediate anti-inflammatory tool for the brain is quality sleep. Sleep is the time when your brain repairs itself, cleans toxic waste, regulates hormones, and restores electrical balance. When you commit to a consistent sleep schedule, reduce late-night screen exposure, and create a dark, cool sleeping environment, the brain begins functioning like a finely tuned engine. People who fix their sleep often experience clearer memory recall, faster processing, stronger focus, and significantly less emotional overwhelm. Their brain finally gets the nightly reset it has been missing. All of these tools work together, and the most inspiring part is that anyone can use them regardless of age or lifestyle. When you nourish your brain with the right compounds, support your gut, stabilize your blood sugar, move your body, hydrate consistently, manage stress, and improve your sleep, brain inflammation does not stand a chance. The fog begins to lift, clarity begins to return, and your mental power slowly reawakens. It is not magic. It is biology reacting exactly the way it was designed to react when given the right conditions. Your brain wants to be clear, strong, and sharp. It simply needs the inflammation to stop so it can function at its full potential again. As all of these powerful methods come together, something remarkable begins to happen inside the brain, something that many people never believed was possible once brain fog had become a constant part of their life. The inflammation that once felt heavy and suffocating begins to melt away as the brain finally receives the oxygen, nutrients, rest, and balance it has been deprived of for so long. People who once felt trapped inside their own minds suddenly find themselves thinking faster, remembering more clearly, learning more easily, and experiencing a sense of mental brightness they have not felt in years. It is like stepping out of a dim room into clear daylight, and the contrast is so dramatic that many people wonder how they ever accepted the fog as normal. When inflammation decreases, the brain steps into its natural rhythm, firing signals smoothly, processing information quickly, and allowing thoughts to connect effortlessly. The world seems clearer, decisions become easier, and a sense of mental control returns. Even emotions become more balanced because an inflamed brain struggles not only with clarity but also with mood regulation. As clarity builds, confidence rises, motivation returns, and a person begins showing up in their own life with renewed energy. What is even more empowering is the fact that brain healing is not limited by age. Whether someone is in their 20s, 40s, 60s, or beyond, the brain responds when inflammation decreases. This is one of the most hopeful discoveries in modern neuroscience. For decades, people believed memory decline and foggy thinking were unavoidable parts of aging, but research now shows that the brain has extraordinary regenerative abilities. It can form new neural connections, repair communication pathways, and restore chemical balance when given the right environment. Even older adults who felt mentally slow or forgetful for years often experience surprising improvements once they support their brain's anti-inflammatory systems. This means that no matter where you are starting, your brain still has the ability to bounce back, grow stronger, and operate with far more power than you may have believed. The key is consistent action. The steps that calm inflammation must become part of your lifestyle, not a one-time effort. Small daily actions can create incredible long-term results because the brain responds to repetition. Each day you nourish it, each day you reduce stress, each day you move your body, each day you hydrate properly, each day you support your gut, your brain becomes a little clearer, a little faster, a little sharper, until one day you look back and realize that the fog that once controlled your life is gone. And the truth is that mental clarity is not something you should hope for eventually. It is something you can begin reclaiming right now. Your brain is not broken. It is inflamed, and inflammation is reversible. The fog you feel is not a permanent state. It is your brain asking for better support, and by understanding what causes inflammation and what reduces it, you now hold the knowledge that can change your mental future. Every moment of clarity you regain improves your ability to work, to remember, to learn, to communicate, to solve problems, and to live with confidence. Imagine waking up with a clear head every day, knowing exactly what you need to do, feeling motivated instead of overwhelmed, and moving through life with a sharp, focused mind. This level of clarity improves relationships, boosts productivity, enhances creativity, and helps you connect more deeply with the world around you. Your brain controls every part of your life, so when the brain heals, life improves in every direction. This journey toward a clearer mind is not complicated, but it does require commitment. You have already taken the first step by choosing to learn about brain inflammation and how it affects your mental clarity. Now, the next step is applying the strategies consistently so your brain can rebuild itself. And if you want to continue learning simple, science-backed ways to improve your brain, protect your memory, strengthen your focus, and feel mentally powerful again, then this is your moment. Because this channel is dedicated to helping you unlock the healthiest, sharpest version of your mind, and every video we publish brings you one step closer to that transformation. So before you leave, make sure you take action right now. Do not wait until the fog gets worse. Do not tell yourself you will come back later. And do not let your brain slip back into old patterns. Take control today and be part of your own mental revival. Go ahead and like this video to support the message. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss another life-changing tip. And turn on the bell notification so you are instantly alerted the very moment our next video is released. By doing that simple step, you guarantee that your journey to a clearer, stronger, healthier brain continues without interruption, and you make sure you are always one video ahead in improving your mind, your focus, and your future.